Hello everyone. This video is going to help you with some techniques to analyze the employment data. So under the employment wages and prices tab, we're going to be focusing on these statistics right here. So I'm going to be using the example from a previous student because all of the data is here. And let's take a look at labor force. Now, what you see here is the pool of labor a country has to work with. Now, the unemployment rate is calculated with this number. And you could see here, the United States has, about 150 million people in its labor force. Now, the thing that I want to also take into account is I want you to look at the labor force change. This is the growth of the labor force. And the reason why this number is important is because it tells you how quickly the pool of labor is growing or shrinking in a country. And this also could help you to determine what is the minimum number of jobs an economy needs to create to accommodate a growing labor force. So, for example, let's look at the average. The average labor force is 100 and call it 150 million people in the United States, and the average growth in the labor force is 0.78. So what I can do is I could take 0.78 and multiply it by the labor force, and I get 1,174,620 workers. That's for an entire year. Basically, the United States needs to create over 1 million jobs per year just to keep up with the growth in the labor force. In other words, if the United States wants to just keep the unemployment rate constant, it needs to create this many jobs in a year. Now, most of the time, job statistics is reported monthly. So let's divide this number by 12. So I'm going to put parentheses here, and I'm going to divide by 12, and look what we have. Basically, the United States needs to create about 100,000 jobs per month in order to keep the unemployment rate from rising. If the United States wants to get the unemployment rate to drop, it's got to have job growth in excess of 100,000. Now, personally, I think this number is a little bit low for the United States. The reason being is that the average percentage here is basically taken over a 10-year period. And you could see that the labor force shrank for the first time in a long time in 2009, which is affecting this average. I would probably use somewhere between 1.12 and 1.4 for the United States. So look what happens if we do that. If I take 1.12, why did that work? Let me uh, take out this formatting here, clear formats. And what I want to do is this. I'll start over. I'm going to take 1.12, multiply it times the average here. And let me just put the, that's basically more to my liking. That's about 140,000 jobs the United States has to create each month in order to keep the unemployment rate constant. Now, what I could do is I could see what the United States has been creating over the last few months in terms of job creation. And that's going to be basically employment, right? This is annual. What you can do is you could look at um, the latest statistics, monthly statistics for job growth, and to see is it close to what the minimum is for keeping the unemployment rate constant. Now, let's go on to the unemployment rate. Here we have the unemployment rate, and you can see the unemployment rate average for the United States over this time frame is about 6.12. Notice how it's heavily influenced by the big spike in unemployment rate in the last in here 2009 and 2010. Now, the question is this average unemployment rate, is this the lowest the United States could expect? Is it high? Is it, is it considered to be a healthy unemployment rate? Well, one thing you can do is you can compare your nation's current unemployment rate to what is considered to be the best unemployment rate. Now, what is the best unemployment rate? Well, there's a term that's called NAIRU, non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment, NAIRU. Now, that stands for the non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment. The theory is this: if the unemployment rate falls too low, it could spark a big increase in wages, which could spark higher consumer inflation right here. Consumer inflation. So, what nations want is the unemployment rate to fall as low as it can without causing inflation. And that's what the NAIRU is. It's the lowest the unemployment rate can go without causing inflation. Now, what I've done for you is in this email that includes the link to this video, I also gave you a link to an OECD study that estimates the NAIRU for each country. And what you can do is compare that rate to what you see right here to see if your unemployment rate is above or below that official rate, which is considered to be the best the unemployment rate a nation can have. So these are two ways for you to compare or analyze employment data. Okay, that's it for now.